But let's get rolling straight into things. So, Liam, why don't you take us through your first thing?
Straight into it. Yeah, well, I've been obviously having the week off. I've kind of been catching up on a few movies that I've been really looking forward to. And one of the ones that I was most looking forward to was Godzilla versus Kong, which I actually got to see this morning. It's fucking awesome, by the way. Like, me and Greg were talking about this a little bit before you guys came on. I've been a massive fan of this MonsterVerse thing, I think, since it started with Godzilla 2014. I've kind of dug all of them up to this point. I actually was a massive apologist of King of the Monsters, which I think got a lot of negative reviews, but I think it was pretty bitching. The new one's awesome. It kind of leads into my first gripe of this. Well, it's my only gripe. And that was a lot of the toxicness going on. Is that a word? Toxicness? I don't know if it is or not. Someone got a soundboard. Yeah, what is this, like fucking weenie in the butt? What's going on?
It definitely wasn't M's alarm going off.
Obviously, if you haven't heard, listeners, there was a little bit of review bombing going on, which is not a new thing either. Like, review bombing's kind of been a thing for a couple of years now on the new Godzilla film. Because of the comments, Adam Wingard, who one of my favorite directors of all time. Obviously, if you know me, if you know the podcast, you know I'm a massive horror buff. Wingard was kind of one of the people who revitalized horror with Your Next. Who kind of was one of the first films that brought horror back into the mainstream. He's obviously the director. He kind of came out and said a few negative-ish things about Snyder's Batman v Superman, saying like, he didn't love the film very much. And he was, what am I going to do for this big mashup? I kind of wanted to avoid the pitfalls that Snyder kind of fell into with Batman v Superman. Basically what happened was a bunch of Snyder fans went on IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes and review bombed before the movie came out. And that's my first, because it's just such a petty fucking non-story. It's such a petty kind of bit of bullshit. I kind of want to pair that with any of our Drag Race fans, with the bullshit that was going on in season 2 UK Drag Race with the winner Lawrence Chaney getting death threats on Twitter because most people wanted Bimini to win. It just kind of, and again, as I say, it's not a new thing. Toxicness in fan bases has been around since the fucking beginning of fan bases, probably. But I do feel like every single time I see something like this, it always kind of screams petulant child to me. Like, it's like, we don't actually deserve these nice fucking things if you can't just cope with the fact that someone might have a different fucking opinion to yours or something might not have gone your way. It is like one of those, like, throwing your toys out of the pram kind of thing. Just deal with the fact that something isn't quite the way you want it. I don't know, like, if you guys can think of any recent ones from fan bases that really kind of piss you off, but I bet everyone can. It's just a really, really kind of irritating thing that this is still going on. I feel like we should have learned from a few mistakes a few years back. It just seems a bit strange.
No, any DC film that comes out is immediately targeted by haters as going to be shit. Like, before they've even seen the film, like the Znyder Cut is a victim of that as well. Like, I hated the original one. But then when they brought out the Znyder Cut, I actually really liked it. So I think the Znyder Cut, like DC films, people are just waiting to shit on them because, like, I don't really know why either. I don't think it's particularly Marvel fanboys, because I'm assuming that most people who like comic book films and in the sense of liking Marvel will also like DC films because it's more comic book content. So I'm not really sure where it comes from. It's just petty.
Plus, you have to think, like, why would Marvel fans need to show it when they know their product is already kind of dominating? You know, it's like they've already won. Like, why bother shitting on it when it's already like losing? You know,
it reminds me of something that we said, because we've just put out. Me and Greg were on an episode where we were talking about Batman, the history of Batman, and we kind of mentioned that you can actually be a fan of both. Like, there is this weird disconnect where people think, oh, because I'm a fan of this, I immediately have to hate the other thing, and it's just such a weird, like. You can enjoy one thing and another thing at the same time. You don't have to just be a devout kind of a fan of just one thing in general. And I do almost feel like it's just fans. I don't know where it comes from. Like, as a fan, I'm a massive fan of like, obviously the current MonsterVerse. I'm a massive fan of Marvel. I'm a massive fan of lots of things, Drag Race, but I've never ever had the inclination. I've never had the urge to go online and fucking yell at someone. In my head, I can only think these must be like teenagers, but then I'm also probably sure that a lot of them are probably like 30-year-old men as well.
It's people of all ages, and it's all tribes. Like, I mean, I don't think I've seen a band release a song, an album, anything without the comment section just being like, "Oh, I preferred your last album."
Yeah. like this band in particular, Bring Me the Horizon. Every new album, they are the prime example of like even their own fan base being like, "Oh my god, they're like so shit now." To the point where they've even made fun of them on the track "Heavy Metal" from Ammo. Like they're kind of at least aware of it, you know.
That band is the worst because at one point with the singer's wife, there was teenage girls sending him tweets saying "Oh, she's not good enough for you. You should divorce her and do this and that." And like he went, I'm sure Ollie Sykes, the frontman, went absolutely in on one of them and like picked apart their appearance and then said like, "Do me a favor and kill yourself."
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ! What the hell, man?
Oh wow, that's brutal.
And I'm not like that
deservedly though, because like I mean, like realistically, you've seen what the fuck this like social media abuse can do to people. I mean, you look at cases like Caroline Flack where they kill themselves. Like I think at the end of the day, if you're willing to give it, you should be able to take it as well.
I mean, like Lawrence Chaney deleted Twitter, didn't he? Like he's not on Twitter anymore because of the backlash he got from Drag Race. Which
I mean, he was getting death threats though. I knew there was a lot of hate from the big. It was him and Diamond, right? That caused a lot of issues for him.
It was when
but Ellie Diamond was being a prick.
Yeah.
There were. It was again. You're in the pressure cooker. I feel like in a competition, especially like that, because you're right. Like those reality show competitions get a lot of heat when people kind of react. Lawrence might have had a few kind of choice words for Ellie, and then I think the fan base had this reaction to it, like, oh, Lawrence has been. It wasn't just Lawrence; it was Lawrence and Ahura being kind of bullies in a sense. But again, you can't. I don't think you can take like one snippet from a heavily edited TV show as well. Like, this is not. It's not a case of these are actually the things people are saying. Like, there is a storyline that people are crafting here. It's not the contestants' fault.
The thing is, though, like the whole issue stemmed from like, for people who don't know, it was a challenge where basically this one person, Ellie, got to choose like a running order of who went first in a comedy stand-up challenge, and basically, like Ellie played a game and said, "I'm going to put people in positions that it's going to be difficult for them."
She has every right to do. Yeah,
but she has every right to do. But then she was like, she knew full well that's what she was going to do. And then at the end, she went, "Oh, is everyone all right with that?" It's like, well, no. Like, if you're playing a fucking game, you know what you're doing. Like, why then ask if it's okay? Like, you know full well people are going to be uncomfortable with what you've done because you're trying to win. Which is like, I've got nothing against the fact that you're trying to win. And I think I'm in the same boat with Lawrence, where I said to Steph, I was like, I've got no issue with the fact that she wants to win because there's competition. But at the end of the day, don't pretend then like you're being nice and saying, "Oh, is everyone all right with that?" Because you're inviting the criticism on yourself then. So I feel in that instance, Lawrence was every right to be pissed off, especially considering they were meant to be friends. And I think the biggest issue is that social media can be anonymous to the point where like people hide behind like a picture that doesn't show who they are, doesn't show where they live, who they are. There's no accountability, and because of that, people feel that they can say what they want. And as I'm sure we'll get into, the majority of the public are fucking idiots.
Yeah, so, I obviously like contestants like that and shows like that are one thing, but then movies I just don't get. I don't get why people have that much of a passionate response. But like, we all love movies here. We're all massive. We all have separate podcasts talking about how much we fucking love movies. It's part of our life. But I've never had the inclination to either attack someone for their opinion or attack a film for its like for I don't even, because obviously like Ghostbusters got it. The 2016 Ghostbusters got it because it was an all-female cast. Like a lot of it is political as well. A lot of people thinking, oh, this movie's trying to make a political statement that I'm against. I'm going to review bomb it. Last Jedi got it, which I know we have like very different opinions on this podcast. Like I know I personally think it's the best one of the new trilogy, but I would never kind of go on any fucking boards and tell you that, oh, you're an idiot if you think, I don't know, fucking Rise of Skywalker is a masterpiece. Like you're allowed that opinion. It just makes no fucking sense to me that in this day and age, people still have this kind of such a vitriolic reaction, just what basically is subjective art. Like, of course you're going to have a different opinion. Doesn't mean you have the right to fucking review bomb.
I don't even think people particularly care that much. It's just a case of they can do it, so they will do it.
Yeah,
like, I don't think it's ever a case of like they really care to the point where that the amount that they care matches the level of vitriol that they put in these posts. I think it's more of a case of like, they can get away with just saying these horrendous fucking things, so they're going to say it because there's no repercussions. It's like the people who go on and abuse sports stars after they miss a penalty or something. It's like, I mean, to be fair, that's inbred in sports culture as it is, because when you're in the crowd, you boo, you give shit to people who do make a mistake. But it goes another level when you've got that like kind of wall to hide behind, where there's no, kind of
it's the anonymity, isn't it?
Yeah.
These comments are made by people who are unhappy with their own lives and where it's going, and so they feel they need to take down someone else because they're doing something that they wish they could be doing.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, Lawrence Chaney's a fantastic winner, and Godzilla vs. Kong is an awesome movie. So go watch it, guys. I usually don't pay for movies like on streaming services, but I was that excited. I was like, I'm going to pay for this, and I was saying to Greg, like a lot of the issues with the older Godzilla movies, I say older, like the last ones in the MonsterVerse, was that a lot of them are quite dark, a lot of them are hard to see. This one is like 2 hours of just absolute destruction from beginning to end, and it's fucking amazing. There's some really like obscure, like weird. Actually, I think you guys, with your conspiracy episode the last time, you'll probably really enjoy it because there's a whole subplot with Hollow Earth thing going on, and it's fucking hilarious. And it's really trippy. Like, it takes some really daring risks. I'm really excited for you guys to see it. And if we get a chance to talk about it more in here, I'm well game for that. It's a great movie. Watch it.
I'm not going to pay for it.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I mean, I've rented it on my Amazon, so you've got 3 days if you want to watch it on my Amazon account.
I might do that, to be fair.
Yeah. I'll give you my. I'm not putting my details on here. You can all fuck off.
No, thanks, man. No, but like staying on the toxic fan base thing a bit, like being a wrestling fan, we've probably got one of the most. The fan base is like this: either it's the most welcoming or it's incredibly toxic. There's no middle ground. It's really bad. I think I can understand a lot of it. It's very gatekeepers. I think I can understand a lot of it because if you're growing up a fan, you do feel it's a lot of ridicule for being a fan. And kind of the same when you're a bit more of an adult, but not as much. So I can understand why there is that mindset for a lot of the fans there. But some of them, it's the fact like they're very toxic to each other as well. It feels like there's like this thing where it's like they want to constantly outdo one another. Like if you go on Facebook, just look at WWE's Facebook and look at the comment section. It's not really people like getting along and enjoying wrestling. It's just people constantly belittling and calling each other wrong and getting quite nasty about it. But like the worst thing is when you actually see it at shows. Like we went to a Progress show and there's these fans sat near us, and when it was the only women's match on, and it was with two of like the best performers ever in the ring for women's wrestling, they thought it would be funny just to chant random male wrestlers' names at the women just because they didn't like women's wrestling. And I was like, are you that insecure as a man? You have to try and belittle. You have to belittle those women. And bear in mind, these women could easily have kicked their ass. They're fucking like they could have ruined them if they wanted to. It's like, are you really that much of an insecure little prick? You have to be doing this during a match. It's like, grow the fuck up.
I think you've hit the nail on the head there with like the insecurity.
They have beaten them up though.
Oh, 100%.
Absolutely. Have you not seen female wrestlers, Harry? They're fucking monsters.
It was fucking Miko. It was fucking Miko Satomura.
It's not really fighting though, is it?
Ooh, I'd let them.
I'm with Nathan. I'd let them fight me too. Yeah.
On that note, Harry, though, what's the MMA fan base like?
Oh, it's the same, mate. Do you know what? The thing is, like, it's the same throughout, like. I think every fan base that there is, there's toxic cunts. You know what I mean? Like, it's as simple as that. I mean, the only difference is with MMA, like if you do say it to the face, there is 100% chance that you're going to get beat up. Whereas in wrestling, they'll just come over and say, "Right, okay, you win this time."
Okay, you're going over, pal.
Boom, roasted.
Give me a kick and go for the 1, 2, 3.
I feel like there was just like a slight level because I was saying to you guys in the chat before, like I'm pretty heavy in the horror community. In the horror community, I think of all of them, and there is obviously still toxic people in the horror community, but we are extremely, like, I think as a community, extremely supportive. Like I was talking to a couple guys on my podcast page, like, and mostly it's a horror kind of community that we built on there. And we got in a full discussion about how this person like absolutely hated all the Evil Dead films, and usually I think like my fucking flares go up because that's like my favorite horror series. But like it was just really like conducive like conversation we had, and obviously there are definitely people in that community that are toxic, but I do think a lot of people in that I'm kind of thankful to be part of a community that I've not actually witnessed that much toxicity in. If that's a sentence.
See, can I just say one thing now? I think like horror fans, like from what I've experienced, they might be nice to each other, but nice to people who don't like the genre. I don't agree.
Yes, that's because you're a pussy.
Exactly, and to be fair, you're saying that like, oh, we have a nice time. When me and Nathan decided to take the piss out of Stanley Kubrick, you didn't have not a very nice attitude towards us.
If you want to bring the fucking receipts up, you two were the ones who went absolutely acca, and I was telling you guys, if you want, I will fucking post the receipts in the fucking group chat. And I was saying, you guys are entitled to your opinion. You guys are allowed that opinion. You guys were like, Stanley Kubrick's a piece of shit. Stanley Kubrick can kill himself. You guys are being the toxic ones, so don't even fucking start.
No, but you could not help yourself. I know you're going away.
Mate,
But
back
At one
me
point,
the fuck up.
no, wait.
I'm
At
on your
one point-
side.
No, wait. At one point, Liam literally said, "I know you two are winding me up on purpose, and you probably don't think this, but I'm still
No,
going to
but-
bite."
Wait,
So, like,
right,
you knew.
This is
You
part
knew
of my
we weren't taking it
personality.
It got to the point where I messaged Nathan and I said, "Nathan,
Oh, I know you would have.
I'm just going to start making up facts about him just
Yeah,
to
I
see
know
if
you
they
would
bite."
have.
And I was like, "Did you know that George Lucas once said fuck Stanley Kubrick?" And then we had a massive debate on that. And I was like, "I just made that up." Like they actually.
I mean,
like
obviously,
each
I
other's
never
work.
fucking thought you were actually being literal on that. Jesus
But you
Christ.
still bit. You still bit.
No, right. I will go on record to say that I'm a debater. I like to fucking debate. I really enjoy it. But I think you're the only wanker here, buddy. No, but long story short, you're absolutely right. Long story short, like it kind of comes down to that. You mentioned Carolyn Flack earlier. Obviously, that was very different. It was about something that kind of wasn't really a fan basey thing, but it still encompasses everything that we're trying to say. It's just kind of bullshit. Yeah, it's just pointless, petulant bullshit. And I think as fans, and we're all massive fans of our respective genres and kind of sports and whatever it is, I think it's our job to kind of champion the positivity in that kind of stuff, because this is amazing stuff that we're given. We are given the opportunity to live in a generation that has the access to everything. Like we have access at the tap of our fingers. We can see everything we want, movies, sports, whatever it is. And yet we're still fucking childish about it. Yet we're still petulant about it. Just let people enjoy what they enjoy. Like with you, obviously, I'm not massive into the Snyderverse, but I will go on. I am over the. But I am over the moon that the fans of the Snyderverse have got a version of this film that they're happy with, that they're kind of like they're able to enjoy. But even you're right, even for this, it just seems like it's just nonsense. There's
another issue with toxic fan bases as well, is that they don't really understand their place in the machine. Really, that they seem to think because they've bought or paid for something that gives them ownership over the artist or the creator. It's like, no, you own the end product that you were given. You don't have a right to go on and dictate what they do or what their art is.
That's it.
And I think people don't understand their place.
That's it, man. Like it's just they need to grow up a little bit. And it's sad that everyone's still having to see this bullshit. It makes me when the drag race shit was happening, I was like, we don't deserve this. Like these are people who are artists. These are people who are showing their art, putting themselves out there. We don't deserve kind of as a fan base to be able to witness this if we can't take it kind of with just a bit of lightheartedness and not too fucking seriously. Like life's not that serious, guys. Grow up.
Yeah, I agree. And like as a kind of maybe closing statement for like my opinion on it, I think it is a really toxic and horrible thing, but it ultimately comes down to the fact that Stanley Kubrick's a shit filmmaker.
How many films has that man made in the last 10 years?
So, are we doing your wrong opinion next, Harry? Is that what's happening? Love you.
You salty person.
That's all I've got, really, guys. I was just, it's.
Can we have a quick update on Life Vampire or Energy Vampire?
So, yeah we can, because I think fans have been asking. So, obviously, I saw her again. I think it would have been 4 times I saw her again. The first time I saw her, she kind of beelined to me. She saw me outside of the building, and she beelined to me. And she was like, "Oh, we're going to work together today." And my heart just sank, and I was like, "Okay, I guess so." Yeah. She caught me. We walked in together, and then thankfully, like the woman who kind of organized the whole thing, who ran the whole thing, was like, "Oh, I need you guys. You need to go somewhere else today. You need to go to a different building." And I was like, off the hook. Fantastic. She instead drained the life out of one of my other colleagues, who was a lovely girl, like about the same age as me. She came to me at the end of the day, and she was like, "So have you worked with I won't mention him. Have you worked with blank before?" And I was like,
Lewis
"Yeah."
Black.
And she's, "Yeah, have you worked?" There's the first beep of the episode.
Harry.
And obviously, I think she was of saying it. Like you say she's a lot. I went on a podcast and bitched about it for like 40 minutes. Like there's 2 ways of coping with that problem. She did end up getting us in a big WhatsApp group. I'm currently in a WhatsApp group with everyone.
Yeah.
I've ignored all the messages. She wants to get a drink once lockdown's over. She hasn't added me on Facebook, which means I don't have to hide like these, like sharing these, which is quite nice. I don't have to like try and avoid her that much, but I hope the whole energy vampire saga's over, because it was just, again, nothing against her. She's probably a lovely woman, but I just think she gravitated towards me and didn't let go, and I wasn't prepared for that. I could have a conversation with people, but it wasn't a conversation. It was just a one-sided conversation, and that for 9 hours or however long the fuck I was there, that was just too much for me. I actually wasn't paired with her after that period again, so I think I escaped with my life there. You wouldn't have seen me on this episode. I would have been fully fucking sucked dry.
What you gonna do?
Not in a good way.
Oh, different kind of work day.
What you gonna do without you, Liam? Man, she's your best friend.
Who
she
knows?
needs you.
She does. I think. Yeah, she'll be fine. She'll find some other victim soon.
Well, thanks for the update, pal.
No problem at all.